Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everyone, and welcome to the Sandbox game live stream for Saturday, July 24th, 2021. My name is Joseph the Vision X Manning, and alongside me, through the magic of the internet, it's that same old G, Alex Florez.
Thank you,
How you
Joseph.
doing?
Doing all right. Doing all right.
Good.
It's a nice Saturday.
Good to hear. Good to hear. It is a late early start for me right now. Oh my. I was like exhausted after last night. I don't know why. Just I'm still in that rhythm of summer jam, sales. And I see you got a little something up on the screen. We'll get into that in just a second here. Folks, each and every Saturday, right here on youtube.com, twitch.tv, Theta D Live, Facebook, and twitter.com/the Sandbox game. We play the games that's not true. We teach you the skills you need to know in the Sandbox game maker. We play these. We do play games on request as well on Wednesdays, but today we are going to teach you about boss fighting, how to create a big boss, and we'll do it live here during the stream. You will have a very special opportunity to ask us anything from questions about the game maker, maybe our asset creation software, box edit, or anything else that you need to know about the sandbox. We'll answer these questions live as they come in. And for those questions we cannot answer live, feel free to click on the wonderful social channels in the description below this video and tag us after the show on Discord, Telegram, Twitter, or any of our other great platforms, and we'll get an answer out for you. Of course, if you're watching this later over on youtube.com, you also have the opportunity to earn a Wizzy the Blue NFT if you can join us live on Saturdays at 1800 UTC. But we'll get into more details on how you could win that Wesley the Blue NFT later on this stream. For now, Alex, what have we got going on this wonderful Saturday?
All right. Well, we are going to be taking a look at how to do oversized boss fights in just a minute. Something useful that you can do if you happen to be one of the lucky people who grabbed those large dragons a while ago on I think that was the third pre-sale. That was a long time ago now. There was a one of one Kraken in the pirate sale just a couple weeks ago. There's some other large enemies, and we're going to experiment with how you can get those to work in a way that's a little more complex and interesting. But before we do that, I do want to take a look at the Summer Festival Game Jam, which was just announced. Deadline is August 6th for your submissions. So we went from a game jam that had like almost 3 month, I think, development cycle, and now we're going with a really short, can you knock it out in just 2 weeks, Summer
Sure.
Festival Game Jam. So I'm going to copy the link, paste this in the chat for everybody. And let's see. What the theme is, the Summer Festival. We did just do the first of two Summer Music Festival NFT drops. So if you check out the marketplace now, there are assets on sale for that, and more cool ones coming up very soon. I'm not sure what the second sale date is. You don't have to use these assets, but these are ones that our creator fund has developed specifically for this theme. So same rules as usual. You can do a team of 4, and there's the grading criteria from the judges that we usually have. I don't see anything about the second NFT drop, but we can go to this link for the first one. Maybe this says what the second one is. Friday, July 23rd. That's the one that's already going on right now. You can see there's some cool artistic statues. There's some really awesome like music hall, concert theater, stage type stuff going on, dance floors. Somebody did a whole like metal band with like 30 animations or something like that. I don't think it's quite 30, but it's a bunch of animations. You see the drummers going nuts in the background there. That's a really cool one. I want this one. I'm not sure if it's still available, but I want to pick it up. But it is on the high end, and I'm not sure how I'm going to use it. So I have to convince myself. But there's some cool characters, some other awesome things. I did grab one of these boom bots. Pretty cool disco robot there. I grabbed a whole bunch of these sparks. These are useful not just for your music worlds. This has got several different spark animations, and this will be useful all over the place. So I grabbed a whole bunch of those. Um, Even more cool ones coming that aren't shown in this article. Laser Light Show from Asylum Seeker, one of our friends here on the stream. That one has over 30 animations with different patterns. There's stuff like disco balls and light up walls. There's lots of fun stuff. So check those out. Spice up your game with that stuff, and make sure to enter into that game jam. And that's it for the news for now. I did want to answer a question that I saw in the chat.
Okay.
Let's see. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Vin from YouTube asks, can I use the available assets in the Game Maker for free when publishing? So yes, the assets that come with the Game Maker are free for you to use in any game that you want to make. The way that you can tell that you can use them is because they have this TSB game account one, or if you've just started up the Game Maker and you've never added anything to your inventory on the marketplace, that's what all the default assets are that come in your Game Maker. But as you're browsing through your library, it can be a little confusing sometimes when you've got, I've got 62 pages, and that's actually pretty low compared to some of our creators like Cyber Dragon and Andy Ritchie. I'm pretty sure they probably have well over 100 by now, unless they've been cleaning out the added assets as they go. So if you click on any of these assets, it says who created them. And if you see TSB Game Count 1, it's either in your inventory because it's free and it comes with the Game Maker, or you bought it at some point, like through a land sale or something like that. The other assets in your inventory, if you've added them to your inventory with the little plus button, let me see if I can show what that looks like real quick. We're going to go to the marketplace. Oops, that's not what I meant to click on. Go away. So if you click on, so you can see these assets are minted. They're for sale. They don't have a plus sign on them. But if you go down here, these ones aren't minted yet. You can try them out for free by clicking the little plus sign on them. And, I'm going to grab this tiki bar here. We'll grab some of these. So you can add these to your inventory for free. You can't publish a game to a land. You can't mint a land with those assets unless you buy them. And even though the land minting feature is not available yet, once it is available, the Game Maker will tell you, hey, you need to actually buy this asset in order to publish your land. But for the Game Jam, you don't mint to a land. You use this little arrow. I think you can see it. Well, I'm going to move this out of the way real quick. I'm going to move that scroll down here. This little paper airplane is what sends your stuff to the gallery, which is totally free. I'm getting a little frog in my throat. Sorry about that. So when you publish here, you just need the assets added to your inventory. You don't need to own them. The gallery is free to publish for anybody with just about anything. So it's a much...
So, Alex, I want to make a special note about this game jam
Sure.
and something that's particularly unique about the game jam. So if you look just above the important dates section, almost the last line of that first meaty paragraph, right? In order to be eligible for this particular game jam, those creators will want to use 5 NFTs from the music festival drop.
Oh, they do have to own stuff from that.
Yes. So
Oh,
you'll
okay.
need 5 from there. However, Cody Zine asks also, no custom assets this time? If you would like to submit custom assets as well as the 5 NFTs from the music festival drop, feel free. You can reach out to me if you don't already have an artist account or one that can put assets out into the marketplace. Okay, and I will approve your account for artist group. But again, when you are developing games in this particular jam, it is a short-term jam as part of the summer games festivals sort of events that we have had going on in the last couple of weeks. And you will need those 5 assets from inside the music festival NFT drop.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. I missed that part of the rule. the rules for the needing to buy some of those. So yeah, definitely those assets that I pointed out, check those out. And there will be more of those dropping sometime in the next week, I believe. So keep an eye out for even more cool assets. There's a bunch of them that are pretty affordable on the sand scale. You know, some of them for 20, 25 sand. So make sure to
Sure.
snag those before they're all gone. All right, so let's jump into the game maker, and let's talk about what we're doing here. So, when you've got an asset like this dragon here, and I have another level that I'm working on with the Kraken. It's a little more complicated, so we're going to start simple and go more complex. So we're going to turn off the behavior on this guy, and I'm going to hit play. So when you've got a dragon like this, the collision box is pretty big, so it's kind of hard to run around their sides without getting stuck on their wings. And you've also got just a single health bar with not a lot of variety of what you can do. So there's no weak points. It's just kind of like you're fighting a wall, sort of, which is okay for the smaller enemies. You know, they're just like one whole piece that you're fighting. But when you've got a larger enemy like this, you want to do something to make it a little more exciting. So what we're doing here is we're creating some weak points. So I've grabbed this dragon egg asset, which comes default with the game maker. The bone dragon does not come with the game maker, but this hasn't been minted yet. So you can actually go to you can grab this from the marketplace if you want for free. Just you will need to buy it once it's minted in order to publish a game with it. And you'll have to fight me for buying one, because this has been on my wish list since it was entered into one of the original Vox Edit contests. So what I've done here is I've placed a few eggs around it. So we've got one for its tail, one for each side, and one for the head. And I'm actually going to move this tail one back a little bit so it's easier to hit. All right, and I've made them all invisible. And we also want to make them all have health. So I'm using the hierarchy panel, which you can't really see because of the chat. Let's see if I can move the chat real quickly here. Chat's going to slide over. So I've taken each egg and I've dragged it to the bone dragon, and it gives this little icon here to indicate that it is attached. I can also, it's a little difficult to click on them with the dragon here because the dragon is actually bigger, so the camera is seeing the dragon first, and when you try to click on the eggs, you actually click on the dragon. So the way to make it a little easier to select is to use the hierarchy panel, which is this blue button down here, and you can control click to select all of them. See how they're all highlighted yellow now? And you can use this little eyeball icon to make them visible or invisible. All right, so we've got those all selected, and we can edit the properties for all of them at the same time. So we're going to add a tag. Actually, we don't need to add a tag for those, but we are going to add a component for health. And 50 health is reasonable. It might take like a couple hits depending on the level of your character and what equipment they have. We don't have a leveling system in place at the moment, but some characters, by having like epic or rare or legendary as a custom avatar, will have a higher damage level, and then also giving them equipment like a sword will raise their attack level. So those are things to consider when balancing your game to make it so you don't, one hit the boss. So we've got 50 health on each of them, which is the max we can put, but that's reasonable for these being like sensitive spots. And we are going to edit the logic on them, and on their death event, they are going to be destroyed. And they are going to give a message sent on destroyed of damage, we'll say damage 50, with a capital D, colon, and then no space, and 50. And what this does is it sends a message out to whatever tag we pick. And we're going to do the tag dragon. So this is going to send a message of damage 50 to the dragon to damage it. It's kind of straightforward. So then when we select the dragon here, we're going to make sure that he has a tag of dragon. So that way that message goes to the right place. And let's see. So his health is pretty high here. We also, just for the sake of testing, we want his life bar to be always on display. All right. And I think I'm actually going to, his health is like 1,000. So that 50 is not going to do a whole lot. We're actually going to set that to be damage 250. So if you hit all 4 of these weak spots, it should bring him pretty close to dead. All right. Right now we have his behavior set for none, so he's not running around trying to attack us while we test out how this works. So we can see that he's got 1,050 health. Let's see if we can actually hit those eggs. We should see a little explosion from them, and it looks like the dragon's actually blocking our hit here. So we want to turn off the collision for the dragon, which was something I meant to do earlier. And this might let us kind of slip through parts of him, but it shouldn't be too big of an issue. So yeah, we can kind of walk under him or through his tail. A little goofy. We can do stuff to fix that. But now we can hit the dragon eggs. And those did not do any damage to him. What was up with that? I've done this before, so I'm not sure why it's not working at the moment. Let's do some troubleshooting. Let's make sure we edit the logic. It goes sent to the dragon tag. Message sent is damage 250. Okay. That all looks correct. Let's check this. It's got the dragon tag. So why didn't that work? Anybody in the chat know what I'm missing here? Because let me check out our Git book real quick.
All right, I'm going to answer this question while you're
Absolutely,
looking at that.
Thank you.
So Greenview Media asks, in order to enter the game jam, we need 5 of the summer assets. So yes, you will be able to, if you like, do additionally, custom assets, but you will need send to tag. Roskuru says,
Did I
you
not?
will need the additional 5 summer jam assets that you can find in the marketplace as well. So there are a huge variety of different assets that are available in there. We launched 15 just this week that are unique summer jam assets, and some of them, like the fountain firework, are just 21 sand. So it's a pretty low barrier to entry there. But regardless, there would be some entry barrier, that is, which can be good depending on how you look at it, right? If you already had a little bit of sand, maybe you've been participating in our sales, maybe you've been participating in the game jam and you are one of the top 10, or you recently acquired a land because we gave a land out to each and every contributor to the last game jam. You could potentially trade that land for some sand, enter in this festival, and be one of very few people who did so. It just depends kind of on your position. However, unique to this jam as well, first place will get 10,000 sand, second place gets 7,500, third to fifth gets 25 100 sand. So these do not include that land as well. So just keep that in mind if you are submitting into the music festival and event, then there are not land earnings in this one in particular. But this is kind of a fun little event that goes in with our summer jam events. So, summer festival game jam. It's cool. It's unique. It's unique. It's a new idea for us. We're testing out different ideas all the time with you guys. So, let us know what you think as we do, and we'll get your feedback in our regular meetings. I'll have a meeting on Monday. So, if you have any thoughts, let us know. Noam also asks, so can I make it so that people wear Wizzy in my game, but I can't use it myself in social hubs and other games? Yeah, so what it is when you have an NFT asset that replaces an avatar, that will only happen in your experience, right? You can use a custom avatar is the option, but it is not your default avatar. So when you're setting up your avatar on the website at sandbox.game, each user gets to choose their own, right? So as a game developer in the game maker, you can choose to allow either users to use their own custom avatar in your game, or you can force them to use an avatar that you choose. So, a game like a Call of Duty or something, or a Diablo, when you play those games, you don't ever play as a fully custom made avatar. You play as a prepared character, right? And so you as a developer have a choice to either allow people to use their custom avatar that they already have, or play as a prepared character that you've made or chosen.
So I have a feeling that the damage message doesn't work in that context, because the tutorial from CyberDragon from before uh, was using a message broadcaster to send that. So we are solving our collision with the tail issue by adding a message broadcaster egg in here, and having that relay a message from these eggs. So it's going to wait before broadcast, and the message required is going to be ouch, just because because I said so.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. As one does,
and we're not going to have a delay in there. And it's got collision, but it's invisible. We need to make sure to set the visibility to false. Sometimes, even if you set it invisible with this little icon, the eye icon, having message broadcaster with the visible option here still sometimes makes it appear. So just make sure both of those are set to invisible. And we need to set the tag. Oops.
Oh, my flats, the next game jam's submission date must be submitted by August 6th. So it's a short game jam in the theme of the Summer Music Festival, or Summer Festival Game Jam. So, you can check that out over on the medium.com article that I will be linking in just 1 second for you. And then since I know you came in just a little bit after Alex pasted that in the chat, I'm going to go ahead and paste it one more time. Click, 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 clicky, click, click, click. There we go. Hopefully that goes out for you. Looks like I need to refresh my chat service real quick, and then doop, doop, doop. There you go. All right, that's out for you. So that's the article about the Summer Festival Game Jam. If you're interested in participating this time, again, this is going to run from yesterday, July 23rd, until August 6th. So you have a little bit of time left, but it is a shorter jam on purpose. So you can check it out a couple of weeks, and we'll see what you can make in that shorter duration. The voting will start on August 7th, and then by August 13th, we will have Friday live stream awards ceremony out for you. So join us for that, of course, just a couple of weeks from now. 3 weeks? 3 week. Do.
for
Yep,
August
3
6th.
weeks from now. August 13th
Oh,
is
August 13th.
the
Yeah.
award ceremony. The
Right.
game submissions close August 6th, 2359 UTC.
Cool. All right. So we got it working. I don't know if you noticed that. Uh, but what we have going on here is we've got our 4 weak spots, and we're going to rename all of these so that way it makes more sense while you're playing it, because right now when we play it, it says Dragon Egg when we hit it, which might be a little bit confusing. You can also see that right now I may be a little bit too strong because you can
That's
basically kill
interesting,
this
Alex.
dragon in like 10 seconds.
That kind
What's
of
that?
makes me think that if you were to do this kind of a mechanic, you might want to make a custom asset that says dragon leg, even if it's just like a
Well,
block
you
or
can change
something,
the
right?
name.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the next part that we're doing is we're renaming stuff. So this would be what, the left flank. So up here in the properties, right at the top where it says Dragon Egg, we can change that and say left flank. And you can't see it
While
because the
you're
chat's covering it, but it does say it does reflect that name in the hierarchy. That can be very helpful if you've got a lot of assets in your hierarchy. It can be difficult to find things because you'll be scrolling through the whole list. Let me move the chat again.
I'm going to answer Vin's question here that just came up. Vin over on YouTube asks another question. Can the player see the neighbor's land currently? And Vin, we intentionally have it so that you cannot see neighboring lands because, as you can see from what Alex is doing here, you can develop a significant amount of game code when you have one experience to the next, right? Also, it could potentially take you out of the moment if you could see your neighbor's land. For example, let's say that you made a game that was dragons, right? Like Alex is working with right now. It's medieval theme. And then you're next to an experience that was a cyberpunk game with skyscrapers. That would take you a little bit, that would take your immersion away in your medieval experience because you'd be looking at the skyscrapers in the background all the time instead of the dungeons and castles or what have you that you might have in a dragon experience like this. So just know that when you go from one experience to another, an experience can be up to 4x4 lands, which is close to 400 meters in total distance from one side to the other. If you did 4x4, or it could be as small as a 1x1 space that is still very large at 96 by 96 meters with 128 meters of vertical space. But the neighbor land will only load after you walk to the edge, and you'll have a loading screen that will take you out of the experience you're in and into the other experience.
So there was a good question from Vin, not from Vin, sorry, from uh, Magic in on Twitch. Is if the asset
Yep.
doesn't move with the dragon, what if the dragon moves? So these, because these are children assets of the dragon, they do move with it. So we can see that if I turn them all to be visible. And let's go ahead and turn on some behavior for this guy. I'm going to set him as a predator. And we're not going to fuss with the settings yet, but you can see that they all follow along with him. So you don't exactly get the swooshing of the tail or the bobbing of the head for these, but because they'll be
Sure.
invisible during our actual fight and their position doesn't change too much, this will still make sense. So actually the head is a little bit too high. We can't really hit the head. And this dragon's going to kill me. He's a
But yeah, that's a
very
great
fast
question.
and
And
aggressive.
when you're
Ooh.
looking at that in the game maker, just keep in mind that when Alex talks about parent and child elements, the parent element is the one that doesn't have that little L shape on it, right? Each one of those
Yeah.
smaller elements has that L shape in the menu. You've got the downward arrow shows this is the main element, and then all of the attached or child elements have that little L. right there. So
Yep.
you could have another primary asset that you put into the game that would be its own bone dragon, right, with the arrow or the drop down there, and attach as many assets as you want to each one to have maybe multiple bosses if you wanted to in the same room or something like that.
Yep. And so to make it a child element, you can just drag these. So you click and hold, and you drag. So I'm actually going to drag this off. You see how it makes like a line between Avatar and Bone Dragon there, and I release, and it no longer has the little. I think technically it's supposed to be a branch, but it does look like an L. Um,
Yeah.
so if I click and hold and I drag it, instead of putting it between, although I think putting it between would also, yeah, it also puts it in there. Um, but instead of putting it in between, you can also put it so it highlights the actual name, and now it's a child asset. And you can always like rearrange these if you want to. Well, maybe not. It's not letting me rearrange them right now, but um, you can also make children of children. So if you wanted the right flank to be a child of the left flank, you can see it has another. We could make these all descend down like this if you wanted. There's no real reason to do it in this case. We can just make them all children of the main dragon. And then these triangles will let you hide all children assets, which can help kind of compress the amount of space you have to scroll through once you have a whole game. Because once you're done building out a full 1x1, you'll probably have hundreds of assets on your map, and it just becomes a lot to scroll through here. So being able to group them together like that can help make things a little more manageable. All right, so let's fiddle with these settings here, because right now he attacks very aggressively and very hard, and we're gonna mellow him down a little bit. And let's see. I'm still happy with the amount of damage it takes to destroy him though, because when we hit those weak spots, we're also hitting the dragon itself. So even though we have collision turned off, we can still attack him. So the extra space of its wingspan isn't pushing us away with the collision box. We can get in close for an attack, and still our sword will do damage. Oh, and we need to lower the head a little bit so we can actually hit it. And we could turn on life bars for each of these elements. So it depends on how you want the game to read for people. Like, how much information do you want to give the player? Do you want this to be a fully immersive? You feel like you're in the heat of the moment. You're doing the fight. You're not worried about health bars. You're just fighting for your life. You can make it so no health bars appear. If we click on one of these eggs, we edit the logic on the health component, and we go to. I'm going to move you over a little bit, Joseph.
Sure.
You're just in the way a little bit.
Get the heck out of the way, Joe. What are you doing out here? What are you doing out here?
All right.
All right.
That's better. So you can see it's been a while since we've done stuff at the game maker like this, because I'm rearranging everything because we've mostly been playing people's game jam games. So yeah, we're in the health component here for one of these eggs, and life bar display. We can say hidden, or always, or on hit. So for the dragon, we have it on always, so that way we know how much damage it takes to kill the boss. For the eggs, by default, it's on hit. We could have it hidden, and then you don't really know. You're not telling the player that it has these weak spots, but as players play your game, maybe they'll encounter more of these bosses. They'll start to figure out, hey, I did a lot of damage when I hit it in the head, things like that.
Yeah.
Because they'll be able to see that damage on the health bar in general. They'll do a hit, and then all of a sudden it drops 150 health. They're going to know that something happened. Polyhack Marketing asks, could you explain spawning and how to successfully add multiple points in your game? I have different quests, and each spawns you to the next level. I don't want them to send back to a previous spawn point, but the next level's point. So we did do some tutorials on this before. It was a while ago, so I mean it's all of that still works, but I'm not sure how long ago it was, so I'm not sure I can point you to the video where we explained it. Do you know if we have a Gitbook tutorial for that, Joseph? I don't know if.
We do, but I'm not sure. And I'll look right now. I was
Okay,
just already kind of on the way to do that, but
cool.
I was looking for if in that tutorial it does automatically destroy the previous spawn point. And I think that the tutorial that we have in our Gitbook for teleporting will give you an idea of how to make checkpoints essentially, because you have a spawn point that ends up moving essentially when you do that teleportation. But let's see if I can pull that up.
Yeah, so there's a couple different things with those spawn points that you'll want to consider. So if you have a totally linear game, you want people to go to the next level and to never go back, then you can have those spawn points destroy. That way, there's no chance of somebody getting into an older part of the level and possibly getting stuck there if there's no way to get them back to the new part. So there is that. If you have a more open world game, then you can do something like what we did for the teleporting tutorial, where you kind of destroy and respawn these spawn points, so that way wherever the player is their new spawn point. That's common in a lot of games now. When you die, you don't go all the way back to the beginning of the game. You spawn near where you are, which kind of happens anyway. So the way spawn points work in general is when you have a an asset with a respawn tag. Actually, I don't. You don't do it through there. You do it through global parameters, controller, components, and you go into your player's component information here. Um,
Hmm.
Chat, you guys are always in the way. What's up with that? we'll rearrange one of these days, so I won't have to keep on moving the panel and make the game
Yeah, I've
screen
got
a
new
little bit
themes in the
smaller.
works right now, so we
Yeah.
will get you we'll get you all in the space. Okay, so Polyak marketing, and for any of those other interested, I can link as well in the main chat if you like the tutorial for spawn points and teleporting to put them into different positions if you like, so that when you do potentially maybe just you're halfway through a level or something through your pre-designed content, you can make it so that the spawn point appears purely based on your proximity and destroying the one at the main space, with the exception of course, the original spawn point. That one does not get destroyed, but when you die, as Alex is mentioning right now, you will spawn on the nearest available checkpoint regardless. So if you're doing an open world style game where you want people to have free exploration and spawn anywhere near where they died, you could just leave all the checkpoints without destroying them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you have your respawn tag here, which by default is checkpoint. So, like Joseph just said, you respawn to whatever. We're going to pretend these are respawn points. And we're going to put them out here. So if you're in this vicinity and you die here, you're going to respawn to this one. If you're in this vicinity, you're going to respawn to this one. If you're somewhere in the middle, it's going to measure which one is closest and take you to that. So the point of destroying them with like a void or a damage action to destroy the spawn points is so that way you can force people to go to a specific one, and you can set up any number of mechanics to like respawn these spawn points to pop up later. Now, the issue that you want to watch out for is if you do have an open world mechanic and you've got multiple spawn points, is that you don't put them too close together, because sometimes somebody will have like stacking levels, and so you've got somebody going through and they basically activate this respawn point, but then they're traveling somewhere between here and when they die, and they get teleported further in the game than when they're supposed to be, or potentially even worse, further back, and then they have to recover area. And if somebody's doing a very extensive map where layers kind of stack up on top of each other, you could have somebody be playing for 45 minutes and then suddenly get pushed back to the wrong spawn point. So you do need to be very careful with those distances and make sure that you leave enough space between them that you never pull a player to the wrong spawn point, because that can be extremely frustrating to lose progress that way or to get stuck. So just something to be aware of. There was another question. Let's see. Where'd it go? Some good questions today. Smobler asks, there was one time where all the hierarchy from my game jam entry detached. Any reason for that? I'm not sure. So I'm guessing maybe like you were playing and then you exited the play mode and all of a sudden all the hierarchy was not associated anymore. I'm not sure what would cause that. But I would say the best thing to do is to always save before you playtest. And if something looks wrong when you're done with your playtest, exit without saving. So before you click the play button, make sure that you save, especially if you've been doing a whole lot of work. You've been working on it for an hour or two. Save before hitting play in case something weird happens when you go back from play to the editor state, because that does happen sometimes. It's something that we're always working to improve. Errors like that are not something I encounter very frequently anymore, so there have been improvements there, but it is something to be aware of that can happen going from the play state to the editor state. Sometimes something weird goes on. So always save before play testing, and then make sure that if anything looks wrong when you come back from it, you can exit without saving and then just open your game up again, and it should be in the state where it was. If you experience like crushing like loss of like 15 hours of work or something like that, message me on Twitter and I will see what I can do to get your previous save restored. Because these are cloud backed up, there's just not a front end for it, so there's no user interface for you to find your backups, but they are there on the cloud. And if you let me know, I know who to talk to help get that restored.
And another thing that I would say is that if you do experience this issue, and somehow you could maybe give us that direct feedback of exactly how that occurred, we might be able to find a common thread with that and fix it if it is an in client bug or something like that. Keep in mind, of course, that this is only in version 0.6.5 right now, so not yet at version 1.0. There could be little issues like that, and if that is the case, we want to get them worked out. So any specifics on what you were doing at the time are super helpful for us to possibly recreate a bug like that and then get it taken out, get it fixed in the game maker proper. Let's see here. There is, I'm gonna Kripsky, I'm gonna get to that last question soon. Let's see. Tobin asks, is it possible for the next game jam, can you provide our score results for each of the categories evaluated from the judges? Tobin, it's possible to do that, but we'll probably do that on a one-on-one basis, because one of the things that I take very seriously is the idea to praise publicly and criticize privately. So if you're interested in your results, we may be able to get those dug up for you. And then, of course, it would be just in a one-on-one situation, with the exception of course, we could play your game live on Wednesday and talk about the things that are maybe a little bit more, to us obvious for when I play this, and you'll be able to see how we play, that sort of thing. That is the full intention of a Wednesday stream. So if you're making for this game jam an experience and you want us to play so that we can test it on Wednesday, we could absolutely do that. And then if there's enough demand, potentially do it again next Saturday. But typically, it's been a while since we've done some of these tutorial Saturdays, so I think that they're pretty critical for those new folks who are just getting into the sandbox space.
All
House
right.
of Coin asks this question for you, Alex, as you're playtesting there. What's your favorite Olympic sport?
They just added skateboarding, right?
They did. They
There we
did.
go. That's it.
All right. Fair
Easy.
enough.
So this is gonna sound kind of funny. I grew up watching figure skating because that was my mom's favorite thing. So my mom would
Okay.
watch figure skating, see like Nancy Kerrigan and Scott something. I don't remember. It's been a long time since I
Yeah.
watched figure skating. Uh, so I was never really into figure skating, but it was just kind of like it was there on the TV, and that was really my only exposure to Olympic sports as a kid. We never really watched the Olympics, but my mom would always watch figure skating. So, um, yeah, Tanya Harding. Yeah, I remember all that happening. It was big on the news when I was a kid. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah. So
Exactly.
we had we had figure skating and then yeah, I never watched track and field or skiing or synchronized swimming or anything like that. Never really watched any other sports. I don't come from a very big sports family, so we were never that into sports in general. But I've always liked skateboarding. I always, I'm a '90s kid, so automatically skateboarding is like the coolest thing ever. And then I grew, I always played Tony Hawk. I've been playing the Tony Hawk 1 and 2 remake or remaster, whatever. I don't remember what they call it, but that's been my go-to game on the Switch when we're just hanging out in the living room with the kids. My daughters aren't really old enough to get Tony Hawk to like understand what's
Well,
going on. My 5-year-old like asks like, "So what are you supposed to be doing?" I'm like, "Skateboarding. That's what I'm doing."
I'm gonna tell you a fun fact here, Alex. Just about 2 weeks ago, in competition, there was a 12-year-old kid, and I don't remember their name offhand because it wasn't well publicized. Everybody,
Not
they
in the
kind of knew it
Olympics,
was
right?
possible. The 12-year-old kid may well be in this Olympics based
Oh,
on this performance. And let
oh
me tell
wow.
you about this, okay? So
But
we all know, as as you say, as 90s kids, right? That Tony Hawk was well known for in that period being the first person ever to on the vertical ramp hit a 900-degree turn, which
yeah,
is, you got 360 and then you've got math 720. So you've gone around two full times and then he went around an additional half.
yep.
Okay. So in competition, just in this last couple of weeks, a 12-year-old kid has landed while competing against Tony Hawk a 1080 in competition, which is insane.
That is
Insane.
crazy.
And
Wow.
it was super cool to see. I watched that video like like I say, just a little while ago, and I expect that this kid may well be in the Olympics because my wife very like excited, right? Wants to watch all of the different events. And she had said the most unique thing about this Olympics, with the addition, of course, of skateboarding, was that they have kids, as young as, early teen, preteen age, all the way up to 60 plus year old people
What is
competing
it?
in the
What does a
same
60-year-old
competition
compete in the Olympics? I'm not saying
in
I don't
skateboarding
believe it.
specifically. I'm
Wow.
just talking about skateboarding at all. That's
I
the range of age.
I'm
So,
almost 32 and the thought of skateboarding makes me ache. I mean,
yeah,
I used to
well,
longboard a bit. Like I never did tricks.
uh
I was never athletic enough to do tricks, but I had a longboard that I would ride around, streets and stuff like that. And it's just, you're just cruising. It's such like a smooth feel. Like skateboarding can be pretty rough. There's very little shock absorbing. It's very rough on like your knees and your back and stuff, and it's a lot of effort to keep moving if you're not going downhill all the time. But
mhm.
but a longboard weighs a lot more. Mine was like almost 4 feet long, and it's so smooth. the length of that board has a lot of flex, so it's like a shock absorber on itself, and you just cruise down a street, and it's nice.
Yeah.
I got rid of my longboard when we lived in a pretty busy city, and I had nowhere to ride it. And now we're living in a pretty rural area with like a closed like P shape, like a capital letter P, neighborhood behind us. I'm like, it's perfect. Why did I get rid of my longboard? Like, I would cruise that all day long. But I'll just have to get another one. Yeah.
Transition phase. While you're cruising on your longboards out there on the internet, you should be also clicking on this form link so that you can enter for your chance to win a Wizard of Blue NFT on this stream right now. I'm going to leave this form open for just 3 minutes. Okay, this is for people who are here listening and ready. Let's go. Let's get that Wizard of Blue NFT today. Yes, good luck to Team YouTube, by the way. I know that's a little for fun thing that our chat brings up every once in a while, but you're lagging out here, Team YouTube. We've seen Twitch for what? 4 in a row so far. 4 in a row. So we want to see some more of those YouTube.com users winning here today. But we'll see what happens.
Oh yeah, no, the tricks on skateboards are cool, but I never had the determination or athleticism to pull them off. But my younger brother did a good bit, and some of his friends were really into skateboarding. So we would actually go to a skate park that was not that close to us. It was like a 20-minute drive from our house, but I would take him to the skate park, and he'd be, I don't think he ever really did a lot of vert, but he would try doing ollies and stuff, and then I would just cruise on my longboard. You can't go vert on a longboard because it'll bottom out, or like the nose will like hit. But I would do it like I was surfing, and like go up along the side, just like some college kid bum just cruising along. It was fun. I enjoyed it. So what we're doing here, we've got a unique setup here. So this particular asset encounters a problem with water. So right now, assets that are like NPCs, they have to have solid ground under them in order to move, which looks a little goofy with a giant kraken squid. So you need some sort of solid ground under them, and then you can't see the awesome tentacle action going on there. So what I've done here, and it's very hard to see, but I have a glass block. I don't remember if this is published or not. I think it is published. Let me see if I can share it in the chat. I've got this glass block, which is almost totally invisible, but you kind of have to be careful how you use it. So you can see it here, like it's clearly visible here, but it's visibly clear over here. Like there's blocks right here. You can't see them. You might be able to see the difference in color. I don't know if the Twitch stream has enough color variety here to tell. There's an edge of a block right here by the chat, and right in the middle of the sky here, there's a block visible there, and you can see, maybe you can see that. Maybe not. So it's a very hard to see glass block. It's intentional, the way it is. I think I just removed all of it. It's very difficult to work with, but what I've done here is I set up a layer of water so you can see the water, the way we want. And then you don't want to put the glass right on top of it, because it will do that
I'm
to the
sorry, Alex.
water.
Alex, I have to make an announcement.
Okay.
YouTube, you failed me today. I'm
No,
kidding.
no
RNG
YouTube.
RNG failed YouTube, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But some good news. We got a user here that is already talking. I mean, we're talking about just cruising around with some music bumping, apparently, right here in the chat very recently. User number 23 out of 108 total entries here today. Nab PT over on twitch.tv has won the Wizzy the Blue NFT today. Super hype.
Congrats.
Super, look at that. Yeah, I was hoping that a little tip would give it away before before we announce the name. But yeah, man, I love it. I love to see it. Andy Ritchie, welcome to the conversation.
Okay, so I don't have the glass published, but I am going to publish it right now. So that way other people can use this if they want to.
Ooh, I'm all sneezy today, Alex. I don't like it.
No. Allergies?
Yeah, but that's always the case.
Yeah.
I made a mistake yesterday and didn't take my allergy medication until like,
No, you fool.
yeah, I think it was like 2 in the morning, and I was like, I haven't done this. My body will hate me.
All right. So here's the glass block. If you just search glass, it should show up. But I'm also going to put it in the chat. This is something that you can add to your inventory if you want to add some glass blocks to your game. And like I said, it's difficult to work with because you can barely see it, but it's effective at creating glass barriers that, where you don't really want to see them. You just want to block people from moving.
Don't
So
hashtag COVID me, review me.
block.
Oh,
So so you can add this to your inventory, and so you can't really put it right on top of the water, because when you have two fluids or two transparent blocks back to back, it makes the space in between them clear. So the top of the water is not being rendered here because it's inside the transparent area. So you got to get rid of that. Now you can see the water. So you want to put a block layer in between, then put the glass, and then erase the middle. And now you've got this transparent area with water underneath. So what the Kraken is actually sitting on top of is a layer of glass that stretches all the way between this bridge structure. So from this corner to the top of Joseph's head is a floor of glass. And I don't think I put it on this side, did I? Nope, I didn't put it on this side. So we could sink to the bottom here. We can get rid of that by adding some damage to the water blocks. So if we go to our global parameters and controller, components, and we want to add water as a damaging block, so that way the player does not get stuck down there. So, so if we jump in the middle, we die instantly. If we fall through here, we die instantly. And this way, the Kraken is able to move around and attack. And I've actually set it up to attack the bridges also, not just us. I'm not sure if it's going to try to attack us. Let's see what it... Oop. Yep, okay, good. It does try to attack us. So it's attacking the bridges, but the bridges have no health. Just so that way it keeps moving around and doing stuff. And keeps coming to the edges instead of getting stuck in the middle and just kind of floating there. He's always going to be... Whoops, I fell right off. The water's a lot more dangerous than the Kraken right now with the settings that we have.
Sure.
So let's see. Do I have collisions? Yep, no collisions. Good. So I would probably actually reduce his wandering area here to fit within the bridge space. And let's see. A little bit smaller. All right. So now he's going to wander in between these bridges without trying to pass through them too much. And we would want to set up damage areas kind of like in a circle around him for the tentacles, because pretty much every time we're going to have the opportunity to attack, the tentacles are going to be up. So it's not going to be 100% perfect, but you could get it pretty close to have, similar to what I set up with the dragon, have some assets all the way around the Kraken so you can attack the different sides of it. And yeah, it'd be pretty much the same setup. We're basically out of time, so if people want, we can revisit this next Saturday and kind of finish up this one. There are a lot more animations on this Kraken than it can use at the moment. It's got kind of different like starting and stopping animations, so the tentacles don't just kind of fly up that fast. So as more features and visual scripting gets added to the game maker, more of these animations will be able to be called in the correct fashion. So the artist put a lot of work into these animations. They're not 100% compatible with the predator behavior at the moment. So I look forward to seeing this in its full glory attacking later. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's how you can do boss fights, or one way that you could do boss fights. Other things that you could do with this, you don't have to attach the damage areas to the boss. There's plenty of games that have, like a wizard who's protected by a force field or something, or you've got to destroy the magical barriers. So you could have totems all the way around this area that you have to attack first in order to get to the boss. You can have multiple assets for the boss that could like despawn and spawn to do different different stages of a boss fight. We don't really have a way to attach different limbs at the moment. So let's say you wanted to do this Kraken and have each tentacle be like, you chop off each tentacle. We could do something kind of like that. Now I'm thinking, and I'm liking my idea.
I think I know how you could do it, Alex. But what you would have to do is essentially make, like, if you were to do it right now, you'd have to make multiple Krakens.
Yeah.
If you were the artist, right? And then
Right.
have it like maybe dive into the water and come back up as the Kraken with one fewer tentacle. That's maybe like a nub kind of flinging around, right?
Yeah. So you could you could take something like this asset, and you could either, if you want to do the simple way, you could just do multiple copies of one tentacle, or you could take this whole character and like delete the top nodes and all the other arms, so you're just left with one arm, and do that for each arm, and then assemble them all together into one Kraken. Now the behavior, the difficulty is that the behavior won't transfer the animations. So if one copy of the Kraken is attacking, not all the tentacles might be doing the same thing. So that might make it a little more complicated. What you would probably want to do is make a tentacle a predator and attach it to the head. So the head is just kind of wandering around, and these tentacles that are attached to it will attack when they can. It would be pretty complicated to set up, and this is kind of true with other game engines. When you look at like first person shooters and stuff, when you have a boss fight, oftentimes the boss itself is very unique compared to the rest of the game, and will have all sorts of its own game logic and dedicated stuff going on for it. So making boss fights can be pretty complicated and intense, but as we get those, especially once visual scripting comes in, we're going to be able to do all sorts of awesome stuff with that. Are we working on sorry, if you are working as a team on a game, how does everybody get access to the same game on the game maker, share login info? So yes, at the moment, the best way to do that is to have a team account. and make sure that you're working with people that you trust, and then you share the login
Mm.
info with that. Um, and that's how you would do that. Now, uh, one nice thing is that even if you can log into an account, you still need the login to MetaMask or whatever your wallet is in order to do any sort of transactions. So uh, if you're not sure, I mean, you should, like I said, work with people that you trust. But
Mhm.
you're not, you don't have to put all of your sand and your assets on the line just to work with the team for a game. Only the person who has the access to that wallet is able to make transactions, whereas everybody else can. They can add or remove items from the inventory. They can create or delete a game. They can edit
Yeah.
the game file. So they won't be able to access what's in your wallet through that. Now,
And for those people, just to that point, real quick, for those people who are familiar with that Axie Infinity sponsorship idea, it's basically the same thing. Like on Axie, you can make a sponsored account and you can have somebody play on that sponsored account all day, but they can't remove the crypto that you earn or what have you, right? And so then the sponsor would have to go in and start to allocate that. So it'd be the same thing here. If you have an account, you don't have to worry so much about somebody coming in, as Alex said, taking your sand or taking your gems or catalysts if you potentially had those, that sort of thing. As
yeah,
long as you because they're not on your wallet on your computer.
yeah. And uh the thing to be careful about though is that you do not want to try editing the game at the same time. So make sure you're like scheduling out when you're working with people, because it is you would potentially either have a user get kicked out by another person accessing it, or another person won't be able to log in. The game maker could crash and you could lose work that way. So make sure that you're communicating. Set yourself up a group chat on Discord or a server or something where you can let each other know that, hey, I'm here. Do like a lockout key out kind of key out lockout. I don't remember how it's said. On heavy machinery, they have like special keys
Lockout
where
tag out is
lockout
what they
tag
call it.
out. That's what it's called. Thank
Where
you.
you lock out you're only locking it out and then you put a tag that says, "Hey, don't touch." You
Yeah,
know.
don't touch this.
Yeah.
So that's what you want to do, so you don't step on each other's toes as you're trying to work. We
Hmm.
do plan on having collaborative building features, but that is a very advanced system that has to get worked out. So uh, it might be a while before we see that. Um, there was a question about um, equipment and what assets can get equipment. So right now, the avatar, small human, medium human, large human, giant human, and medium primate are all equipment compatible, meaning that if you set them as the custom avatar in the game maker, uh, they will be able to hold equipment. Now, there's some version stuff that goes on with this, so older assets might not necessarily be compatible with this, and there's not really an easy way for you to tell without just setting it as an avatar and trying to find out. So you can get custom assets to hold equipment. The requirement is that they all have the same nodes in them as the avatar. So if you make a custom asset, it needs to have controller, hip, belly, chest, head, left underscore arm, left underscore forearm, left underscore hand with the correct capitalization all the way down. So you need all of these nodes, whether you use them or not. You don't have to use these nodes. Like I could unequip everything from this and have just like a floating head and put it in the game maker, and it should be able to hold a sword, even though there's no arm or anything like that. Um, Now, older assets like the warrior template that we used to have are missing like the belly node and stuff like that. So some of those are not going to work. And then especially what you'll see with older assets that were using the original versions, you see we're in version 2 for them. A lot of them, the nodes were backwards on those. So if you try going into the game maker using an older asset and put equipment on them, or even it still happens right now with the default avatars from the dashboard because they're not updated yet. All the equipment gets held backwards, which looks okay for swords, but it means the helmet's on backwards, their chest pieces on backwards, their shoes are on backwards. It looks very weird. So that's because we're updating the avatar system, and it's a whole process. Eventually, those will all be updated, and equipment will work correctly for the avatars. But if you want to make a avatar that works now, you do need to either select one of the newer humans from the dashboard. Pretty much all the new ones made in the past couple months should work correctly. So yeah, you can always grab a stealth mode Alex if you want to have working equipment. So this one is correct. You can kind of tell if you look, if it looks like this on the belly, where you can see that there's a block like this, where there's a joint here and a joint here. They're not perfectly lined up. That means it has a belly node. If the chest and belly all look like one piece, then it probably won't work right. So just a little tidbit. All right. And yes, was that distribution on Wizzies? I am sending out Wizzies today. So everybody should have them up to today.
Cool.
All righty. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you, Joseph. And
thank you, Alex.
Make sure, we don't, let us know on Twitter, like what you want to see on these tutorials. Sometimes people have specific questions they want to get answered. So if you had a question today that we didn't, just answer thoroughly enough for you to understand it, or if you encounter anything in the game maker, send us a tweet. Shill us your games for Wednesdays so we can play them, and ask us your deep burning questions that we can answer here on the Saturday streams. So we've always got our ears open to get those questions. All right. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you later.
All right. Bye. Folks, you can hear me, right? Hi, I know you can hear me. I'm just trolling. All right, everybody. Have a great weekend. It's party time over here. I'm gonna get back to hanging out in the metaverse. Get it ready so you guys can have some fun with me in a couple of weeks here. Ideally, we'll see what happens. You know what I mean? No leaks, no deets. I'll see you soon.